Could you do cell membranes?
Cell membranes. Only cell membranes?
As in the transport across cell membranes.
Okay, fine. That means you are asking about the movement across the cell membranes, right?
Yes.
Okay, fine, we'll do that. Okay. First tell me, what is a cell membrane?
The cell membrane is the outer like cell which makes it and controls what comes in and out of the cell.
Which comes in and out of a cell. And which of them has a cell membrane? Is it the plant cell or the animal cell?
Um, they both have a cell membrane, but plant cells have a cell wall on top of that.
Very good. Plant cell have both cell wall and a cell membrane. Animal cell has only a cell membrane. Okay. So what are we talking here is about movement across a cell membrane. So if this is a cell, okay, this is a membrane part, there must be something which is going out and coming in, right? Only because we have to keep the cell alive, there are substances which are going out and which are coming in. So we will be studying how this is happening. Okay. For that first one, we'll see what do we understand by the term concentration gradient. Okay. Now, do you know what is a concentration gradient?
Concentration gradient is where it goes from a high concentration to a low concentration to
First, tell me
make it more
what is a
balanced.
concentration?
Um, the volume of something.
Volume. Okay. Um, let's say I have taken a beaker. Okay. I have added water inside them, and I have also added few salt. Okay. Okay. I have taken water. I have added water and salt inside them. Now, is this a concentration?
Yes.
Okay, fine. In this part, tell me what will be your solvent and what will be your solute.
The solvent would be the water, and the solute would be the salt inside.
Salt inside. Okay, that means solvent. That is a bigger part where it is diluting or dissolving the salt. Okay, that is why salt will be my solute. So basically, if I had to define solute, it is a dissolved substance, right? And solvent,
Right.
basically all the solvents are liquid and which is helping to dissolve to form a liquid. So if I add salt and water, will you be able to identify which particle is that of a salt and which of that is a water? Will it be possible? If I
You are currently the only person in this conference.
back. Fine. So this part you understand, right? This is a concentration. When we're talking about concentration, we have solvents and we have the solutes. And what is gradient? Gradient in the sense, okay, this is something to do with the solution with a low solute. Okay, whenever we are talking
Okay.
about a gradient, a solution with a low solute concentration has a higher water concentration, right? Whenever
Right.
we have a low solute concentration, that means high water concentration, right? High water concentration, and it has a high potential. And pure water has the highest water potential. Okay, pure water has the highest water potential. Now, whenever we are talking about this concentration gradient, there exists a region where my solutes are going to move from a high concentration, okay, from a high concentration to a low concentration. Let's see how is it. If I have solutes, okay, these white dots are all my solutes, and these are low, okay, only few of them there. Now what is happening is concentration gradient means some of the solutes that are present in the higher ones will move to the lower ones. Okay, why? Because it has had the lower ones so that they could be balanced. Okay, whenever we are talking about concentration gradient, it is always from high to low. Okay, if suppose it is moving to low to high, that will be against the concentration. You understood this part?
Yes.
Whenever I am using the word concentration gradient, that means it is moving from a higher one to a lower one.
Okay.
Okay, clear with this part? Okay.
Yep.
Now, first under that, what we are going to see is diffusion. Okay, first what are we going to see is diffusion. Now, what do you understand by the word diffusion in general?
Diffusion is the movement from a high concentration.
No,
A movement
I am
from
not
the
asking you in
concentration.
chemical terms, just in general terms. What do you understand by the word diffusion?
It's like to spread out.
Spread out, or something like mixing it?
Yeah, like when you have a tea bag, you see the tea leaves,
Yes,
they
very good.
diffuse
Good
out.
example, right? I put a tea bag, right, in a hot water. You could actually see the tea essence coming out like this, right? When it is put out in a hot water. So that is a diffusion. They then mix with the water. Very good example. Okay. Now diffusion in chemistry. Okay. Now what is diffusion? What is getting diffused here? Dissolved or gaseous substance. Okay, dissolved or gaseous substance, what they do is they pass through the cell membrane to get in and out of the cell. Okay, if this is a cell, dissolved or a gaseous substance, what do they do is they move in and out of the cell. And diffusion is one process that allows this to happen. Okay, so
Okay.
dissolved or gaseous substances, movement of dissolved or gaseous substances is done by diffusion. Diffusion occurs when the particles are spread. Okay, diffusion occurs when the particles are spread. Then what happens is they undergo concentration gradient. That means they move on from a higher concentration to a lower concentration. Clear? And
Clear.
with the help of diffusion, what is happening is Diffusion happens when the particles are free to move. So can I diffuse any kind of a solid material, solid molecule
No.
in liquids?
Oh, yes, you can
You
actually.
can do in liquids. What about gas?
No, you can't.
Why gas? No, see, when we are talking about diffusion, I said dissolved. Dissolved means it is always liquid, and gas is a gas. So
Okay.
diffusion, only liquids and gas undergo diffusion.
Okay.
Okay, so when we're talking about this, what happens? These particles are free to move. Particles, they diffuse from a higher concentration to a lower concentration area. Okay, now
Okay.
simple method I'll tell you. Okay, what is your favorite food?
I don't know actually.
Anything,
Anything.
anything your mom's the special thing your mom makes and you like that is your favorite one. What can you give an example of?
Roast chicken.
Roast chicken. Okay, fine. So there is mom in your kitchen. She's preparing a chicken, okay? And she has not mentioned that she's going to prepare it, okay? And you are there sitting in the hall or in the living room somewhere in the home. How did you how will you find out that she is preparing a roasted chicken?
From the smell.
From the smell. So the smell is traveling from the kitchen to you, right? That means
Right.
this is your kitchen. The smell is your high, right? And if you're in the living room, there is no smell over here, right? So
Right.
concentration is traveling, that is a gas is traveling from a higher concentration to a lower concentration. You understood with this example?
Yeah.
Okay, kitchen where your smell is high, the preparation of your roasted chicken is high, it is traveling from the kitchen to a place where there is lower concentration gradient, that means lower or no smell. So it is traveling from one place to the other. Okay, so this was general. Let's speak in terms of chemistry. I have a beaker and I add crystals of potassium permanganate. Okay,
Okay.
what I have added in a beaker, I also add water to it. Okay, so let me add water also. So here I have water, here I have potassium permanganate. Okay, now what is happening? Potassium permanganate, this is, I said, crystals, right? Crystals,
Right.
they are solid. Now once they are mixed with water, what happens? They start melting, or let's say they start dissolving. Okay, now once they start dissolving, they start emitting particles like this of different color. I mean different color in the sense a lighter version of this color. Okay, slowly, one by one, one by one, one by one, they start emitting like this. After a few minutes, what is happening? A few minutes or a few hours, my entire water turns to the color of that potassium permanganate. Okay, now how did this happen?
Because the crystals, once they were mixed, they emitted the particles of the color, which diffused into the water.
They diffuse into the water. Now tell me, how can you tell me potassium permanganate will be a higher gradient?
because in the crystals it was a higher grade because of the color, and then it diffused to a low concentration, which is the water particles,
That I
which
told
don't
you.
have the color.
Okay, yeah. Basically, water is colorless, right? And potassium
Right.
permanganate has color. So it is moving from a higher concentration to a lower concentration gradient. Understood this one?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Shall I move on to the next slide?
Yes.
We saw one example of crystal potassium permanganate. Now we'll see an example of diffusion in living organism. Okay. Since we're talking about diffusion in living organism. Okay. Now, products of digestion, they dissolve in water. If we are eating food, right? Do the food
Right.
particles be inside our organ till the end, or they get dissolved?
They get dissolved.
They get dissolved. So the products of food particles, they get dissolved in water. What happens? You know the process of digestion?
A bit of it, yes.
Okay, can you tell me from where does a digestion start?
From the mouth, saliva breaks down the food. It goes down to the esophagus.
Okay, so our digestion starts from the mouth and ends in the
Um, in the rectum.
rectum is your discharge, okay?
Oh, okay.
Talking about
The small
digestion, it ends in the small intestine.
small intestine.
Okay. So what is happening with the small intestine whenever we finish, once we finish having a food, it goes inside our system, starts with the process of digestion, okay? They pass through all the organs slowly, one by one. But what is happening is, why are we having food? It is for our energy, right? So this energy or that it is passed across the wall of small intestine, and this is done with the help of diffusion. Okay, this is done with the help of diffusion. Here if you see, again they are going with the concentration gradient. How? From a higher concentration to a lower concentration. Now, where is a higher concentration and where is a lower concentration? Concentration is high in the small intestine. Okay, and that the concentration gradient is low in the blood. So diffusion is happening from small intestine to the blood. Understood this part when we're talking about digestion? Okay, from small intestine, they get diffused into the blood. Okay, so this is one example. Second example, we will see how diffusion in lungs takes place. Okay, now we have something called as the alveoli. Have you heard about alveoli?
Yes.
Where are they present?
In the lungs, so the branches, the bronchioles, on the
Yes, they have the
ends.
bronchioles, and the smaller parts of the bronchioles, they have these alveoli. Okay. Now, if I take one particular alveoli, they may look like this.
You are currently the only person in this conference.
Okay, this is the alveoli. Fine. Now, what is
Right.
happening in this alveoli? I'll tell you how diffusion is happening in this alveoli. Oxygen is moving down the concentration gradient. We are talking about oxygen. Okay, from where to where it is moving?
From the alveoli to the blood.
From the alveoli to blood. Okay, so this is a sac where air is going out and air is also coming in. So what is happening here? If there is oxygen, it is moving inside the blood, right? Here
Right.
is a capillary. Fine, I'll just name it. It is a capillary which is carrying out blood. So these are the red blood cells. So what is happening? Oxygen is moving from alveoli to the blood, right? Oxygen is moving from alveoli to blood. Okay. Coming to carbon dioxide. In carbon dioxide, what is happening is it is moving from blood to alveoli. Why? Because alveoli has lots of oxygen, so it is transferring itself to a blood. Carbon dioxide is more into the blood, so it is transferring them to the alveoli. So here my carbon dioxide is here. Fine. So you understood what is happening, how diffusion is happening. So here what
Yeah.
is coming inside is the deoxygenated blood. Okay, this is coming inside. Deoxygenated blood is coming inside, which is carrying out carbon dioxide. Now this carbon dioxide is moved inside the alveoli from the blood. When it comes back, it is going here. Oxygen is produced. Oxygen is then diffused into the capillary, and what comes out is the oxygenated blood, which is coming out. You understood how it is happening, diffusion in lungs? So here we see diffusion of oxygen as well as carbon dioxide. Clear with this?
Yeah.
Tell me, I have to move on the next slide.
Yes, I'm finished writing.
Finished? Okay. So you're clear with diffusion?
Yes, I'm good.
Doubt in diffusion, how diffusion is happening? So I told you a simple example of diffusion. Then we saw what is happening in a beaker when liquids are getting diffused, and then we saw diffusion in organisms, right? That
Right.
example we took it as one, digestion, and second, what is happening in the lungs. Okay. Second process is osmosis. Okay, second process is osmosis. Again, osmosis is also a diffusion, but of a water molecule. Here it is involving only water molecule. Okay, osmosis involves only the diffusion of water molecule. Again, they undergo concentration gradient. Okay, they undergo concentration gradient. Now, how is this happening? This is happening, osmosis is happening with the help of partially permeable membrane. Okay, this is happening with the help of a partially permeable membrane. Now, let's see with the help of an experiment here. I've taken a beaker, okay, and I've added water. And inside this water, what I'm going to add is sugar molecules, okay. And here is another batch of sugar molecules, okay. Now what is happening here? You see this yellow one here?
Yeah.
This yellow one is not a continuous one because I have made small holes in there. Why? Because this is my semi or a partially permeable membrane. Okay, this is my solution 1. This is my solution 2. Here what do I find is a higher concentration of water and both. It is a higher concentration of water and a low concentration of sugar. Here is a low concentration of water and a higher concentration of sugar. Okay, how do I put it? Wait, I'll tell you. Okay. Take the orange ones as the water molecules, okay? Orange ones will be my water molecules. And the blue dot will be my sugar molecules. Now what is happening in this osmosis experiment? Now this beaker, it is containing water along with the sugar molecules, right? With the help of the semi-permeable membrane, what is happening? Water molecules, they are very high here, right? In solution 1. So slowly it is going to move to the solution 2, which has lower concentration of water molecules. Okay, what is happening? They are just moving across the semi-permeable membrane to the solution 2. So now what is happening? Both of them will be having equal amount of water molecules. Also equal number of sugar molecules. You understood what is happening here?
Yes.
Diffusion, simple diffusion. And here it is, only point you have to remember it is, this is entirely for water and they have this partially permeable membrane. They are known as partially permeable, or they are known as semi-permeable, or sometimes selectively permeable membrane. There are many names given to it, okay?
Okay.
So with the help of this, osmosis occurs. You understood this part?
Yeah.
Okay. Now what we'll see is, we'll see how osmosis is carried out in cells. Okay. First we'll see that of a plant cell. Now, you told me plant cell has cell wall and they also have cell membrane, right? And what
Right.
is that content which makes up a cell wall?
It has phospholipid bilayer.
No.
Sorry, could you repeat the question again?
Cell wall. What is cell wall made up of? Plant cell wall made up of?
Oh, peptidoglycan. No, cellulose, sorry.
Cellulose. Okay. Plant cell wall is made up of cellulose. They are strong ones, right? Plant cell, they
Right.
have a very strong cellulose, and it is that on the outside of the cell membrane. And this cellulose, what is the function of the cellulose? It supports the cell. Okay, it is supporting the cell. It is also giving a rigid look to the cell. Okay, so that diffusion is happening. Okay, turgid look, or the word which we can use here is turgid. Okay, turgid. Now
Okay.
this is the cell wall. This is my nucleus. This is my chloroplast. Okay, this is my nucleus, this is my chloroplast. Now what is happening here is water, when equal good amount of water, I mean a balanced amount of water, they are entering and they are leaving out. The cell will look like this. Okay, so water is entering
Okay.
osmosis and it is leaving. A normal cell will look like this. Now what happens if the water does not leave the cell wall and it is just gathering inside the cell wall? So it might look,
It'll be a
starts,
tight fit.
yes, it starts bulging out, right? It will be looking like this, right?
Right.
But what happens, this is excess of water. What happens when there is water shortage? That means there is less amount of water.
It will shrivel up.
It is shrink up. So it will look somewhat like this, right? The cells will shrink up.
Okay.
So we saw three stages, how when water entering through the plant cell, what is happening, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you done this?
Yeah.
We saw plant cell. Let's see what is happening with animal cell. Okay. Now we know animal cell, they do not have a cell wall, right? So
Right.
what can they do? They change the shape and size of a cell, right?
Right.
Example, we'll see that of the RBC. What is an RBC?
I don't know.
It's the red blood cells.
Oh, okay.
We have RBCs and we have WBCs, right? So we are
Oh,
seeing
okay.
an example of RBCs. Again, the same thing is happening. When the water, when the RBCs gain water, okay, when they gain water, what observation we see? They swell and they burst out, okay? And this process is called as hemolysis. Okay, this is when they are gaining water. Okay, what happens when they lose water? They start shrinking, like the way we saw here. Okay, they start shrinking or they become crenated or wrinkled. Okay, so this is when they gain water, this is when they lose water. So basically, these things are not happening inside this body. Okay, so there is something termed as osmoregulation. Okay, osmoregulation, which is there in the kidney. Osmoregulation is functioning in the kidney. It balances the gain and loss of water. Okay,
Okay.
osmoregulation, which is happening in kidney, they ensure that the blood remains same. so that no excess of water is gained in and no excess of water is lost out.
Okay.
Fine?
Yeah.
Okay. So this was osmosis. You're clear with the diffusion, you're clear with osmosis?
Yes, I'm clear.
Any doubt? Any questions?
Not really, no.
No. Okay. Now the last one. Okay. Third is active transport.
Five minutes left.
Okay. Now what do you understand by active transport? Active transport.
This is when it goes against the concentration
Yes,
gradient.
very good. First, it is moving against the concentration gradient. That is, it is moving from a lower concentration to a higher concentration, right? Okay. Now, what is moving? What is actually transporting here?
Um, is it larger
Movement.
molecules like glucose?
Yes, movement of dissolved molecules. Okay, from a higher, lower concentration to a higher concentration. Okay. And another one quality of this active transport is energy being released. Energy is released, which the energy is used up. Okay, this movement which is happening from a lower concentration to a higher concentration uses energy, and this energy is obtained from respiration. Why? Because this is against concentration gradient, right?
Right.
Simple example, river is flowing this way. Okay, only if a person can swim in this direction will he be able to survive, right? What if he
Right.
tries to move against the river? Will it be possible he can go against the river? He
No.
can, but he needs to put a lot of energy into it, right?
Okay.
It's happening here because it is moving against the concentration gradient, that is from a low to high. They need energy, and from where do they get this energy? They get this energy from respiration. Okay, they get this energy from respiration. Now sometimes what happens is the dissolved molecules, they are at a higher concentration, right? So they have to
Right.
be absorbed. Now there are some things called as carrier proteins which pick up specific molecules. Okay, which pick up specific molecules and then they take them to the cell membrane, again the concentration gradient. I could show you with the help, I have a diagram regarding that, I'll show you with that. Okay, see, this is an example of active transport.
Okay.
So what is happening here? Concentration gradient, right?
Yeah.
How it is happening? Concentration gradient, this it should move this way. So this is a low, this is a high gradient. This is a cell membrane, and we have something called as carrier molecule, or what did I say the name as? Carrier protein molecule.
Protein.
So what do? Is they take in like this. They select a specific molecule and they pull them towards us. You see how they are coming this way? So this is outside the cell and this is inside the cell.
Okay.
So we have done 3 processes of transport across the cell membrane.
Okay.
You understood all 3 of them?
Yes.
Any doubts in them?
No, not really.
Not much. Okay, so then shall we end up our class here? We have done that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.